Hey guys, it's Dasha. Welcome back to my channel, and welcome to today's video where I'm going to do the anti-TBR tag. This tag has been going around for a little while. I didn't really think I wanted to do it because I never really wanted to limit myself to saying I'm never going to read something, but the more I thought about it, the more I thought, okay, maybe I have a few answers for some of these, so I thought it could be fun to do. And so let's get salty. The first question on this tag is, what is a popular book you are never going to read? Everyone loves this book, but you are not interested. And for this, I have two picks that really come to mind. The first one's a bit controversial for a couple of reasons. It is The House on the Cerulean Sea by T.J. Klune. So I know that recently it was found out that this author admitted that he was inspired by Canadian residential schools when he was writing this book, and I just think that's gross, like really gross. Obviously, a lot of people are now not talking about it, but before everyone kind of knew this, everyone was raving about this book and gushing about it and saying how it's like a warm hug and it's like so happy and fuzzy and it just makes you feel all the good things. And that is the opposite of what I look for in books. I want to feel pain. I want to feel hurt. And that is probably not what this book is going to give me. So I wasn't even interested in it even before all of the author controversy. So the other book is maybe a bit less beloved on a general scale, as it transcends like genres and age groups. It by Stephen King is a book I will never be caught dead reading. Those that love it, and a lot of horror fans really do love it. A lot of people feel really strongly about it. I've never been interested in it. I think it is much too long for what it probably needs to be. There is a scene of a violent assault against a 12-year-old girl that I am just not interested in reading. And I'm a horror reader. I can handle a lot of things, but when it comes to young girls and young kids in general, my tolerance slowly starts to fade a little bit, and I'm just not interested knowing that that scene is in that book. I don't want to read it. And third, killer clowns do not interest me. Sorry, guys. So yeah, It and House on the Cerulean Sea, will never read those. The next question I'm gonna very quickly skip. It is a classic that you're not interested in reading, and I'm definitely one of those people that's interested in all classics. I'm definitely of the belief that classics are classics for a reason, and especially if they're controversial, like I know a lot of people have put Lolita on their list for this question. I want to read it. I want to find out what it's about. I want to see if I can understand the message through Nabokov's writing rather than having people talk about the book, because I think part of the interesting part of reading classics is kind of discerning the message for yourself and figuring out what you're getting out of it. So I don't think there's any classic I would discount really. So we're just gonna move along to question number 3. Number 3 is an author whose books you have no intention of reading and a problematic author who you don't really want to read from. Some people combine these, some people have a separate answer. I do have separate answers for both of these. An author in general I don't really care to read from is Taylor Jenkins Reid. I know she is beloved. I know that Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo is going around everywhere on the bookish internet and people just absolutely love it. I could not care less. I have no interest in picking any of her books up. Full caveat, I started Daisy Jones and the Six. I think it was in 2019 towards the end of the year. I read about an hour into the audiobook, put it down, no interest in finishing it. I thought it was dull, I thought it was uninspired, I really did not like it. I don't think any of her premises interest me, and just generally, like, contemporaries are not my thing, even if they're kind of more historical fiction. I'm just not that interested, I'm so sorry. So I'm going to skip any Taylor Jenkins Reid books from here on out. When it comes to like problematic authors that I don't really want to read from, there's one really big one that came to mind because I was really excited for his series that I know has gotten really good reviews. I'm talking about Sam Sykes, who's the author of the Grave of Empires series. I really wanted to read this, but he has some sexual assault allegations against him, and that's just not something I want to support and put my money into, so I will not be reading any of his books. The next question is an author you have read a few books from but decided to never read any of their books again, and for this I'm gonna go with Riley Sager. So I have read 2 of his books. I have read Lock Every Door and The Last Time I Lied. And The Last Time I Lied I actually didn't mind. It had this kind of very campy summer camp vibe to it, but Lock Every Door I thought was just not that good. I didn't like the twists in it. I thought that it was kind of just overdone and it was trying too hard to be something it wasn't, and it was giving me a lot of these like red herrings that were just kind of really unsatisfying. And I just don't think I really want to pick up any more of his books. I think that from what I gather, he's just not the author for me, so I don't think I'm ever gonna pick anything up by him. I know he has a book coming out really soon, or it might be out already, Survive the Night, and I know a lot of people are anticipating it, and like, I'm happy for y'all if you like him. He's just not my cup of tea at all. I have no interest in reading any of his other stuff. The next question is a genre you tried to get into and couldn't, or a genre you just have no interest in reading. And I feel like most people who have watched my channel at all will know at this point, romance. I don't have any problem with romance specifically. I don't subscribe to any of those ideas that people have that it's like trashy, or it's not real reading, or like it's just for housewives. Like, I'm happy for people that love romance because they are always so happy with their reads. Like, for the most part, you guys are always like happy, and like it's all fluffy and it's cheerful and it's like stuff you love, and like I'm happy for you if you like romance. I have no issue with it. I just do not give a shit. I don't like it when it's in my fantasy. I don't like it when it's into anything else. I can't put my finger on why specifically I don't like it. I just tend to not really care that much. I'm not always a character-driven reader, and when I am, I find that romance often takes away from development of characters. Now, that's not to say I've never liked any romance in books. However, I do often find that in fantasy books, for example, the stakes are so much higher for romances that it makes it a bit more interesting. There's often like a whole battle at stake, or a whole empire, or some kind of magical object, and there's always angst and pain, and like there's always something else going on that just makes it a tiny bit more interesting to me. Whereas a contemporary romance, I don't think I'd have any interest in, and I also don't like when romances take up the whole plot. So even a fantasy romance, I don't think would really work for me. I really need romance to be like a subplot in my books, because I like to focus on bigger plots, bigger picture, bigger ideas than just a romance. Completely personal opinion. Like I said, I have no problem with people that do read it. Obviously, like, you do you. None of my business. It's just not something I think I will ever pick up. The next question is a book you have bought but will never read. So I have a few different directions for this one. So back when I was telling myself I should kind of get back into reading, I picked up some continuations of popular young adult series from thrift stores that I just saw, and I was like, oh cool, maybe I can finish the series off. So examples include The Bane Chronicles, which is a continuation, well, it's kind of like a spin-off of The Mortal Instruments. You follow Magnus Bane, who is one of the characters, and kind of some of his adventures. I also picked up Champion, which is the third and final book in the Legend trilogy by Marie Lu. Actually, wait, I think it's like a quartet now. Either way, I picked up Champion thinking I would finish off the series because I own the other two books. I also picked up The Kill Order by James Dashner, which is like the prequel to the Maze Runner series, and I told myself that I was going to get to them because I already liked those series and maybe I'd be more familiar with the characters and everything, and I could get back into reading. How very wrong I was. I have unhauled all of those books. I am not interested at all in reading them, and it was just kind of a big waste of my space and money. The other direction I could kind of go in is I have this copy of Wicked Saints by Emily A. Duncan, who was kind of known to be a bit racist and just really bitchy to other people and just not a good person. The problem is I own this book, so I am so torn between reading it since I already have it, since the premise is still interesting, but at the same time I don't want to support her at all, and if I like it I'm like, well fuck, I'd have to read the other books. So this is probably one I'll just end up unhauling whenever I do an unhaul, because there's just no point in keeping this author and promoting her. And then the final direction I took with this question was also some thrift store finds. So I had a habit, especially when I just got into BookTube, and I wanted to buy all the books that I saw because I wanted these massively full, beautiful bookshelves. I ended up picking up a lot of stuff that I don't think I'll actually ever get to, or if I do, I can just borrow from the fucking library. So we got Dorothy Must Die by Danielle Page. This is like 2012 era YA. Why did I buy this in the year 2019? Can someone tell me? Can someone tell me why I need this on my shelves? I don't. I kind of want to read it, possibly for a video, but like I can just borrow it. I should just unhaul it. Same with Wolf by Ryan Groden. This is like a World War II reimagining of the Axis one, and it's, I don't know, it was intriguing. I bought it because it was cheap, and now I have no interest because there's just so many better books that are piquing my interest. Same with The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. Have you guys ever known me to read historical fiction? No, it's not my thing. This one is the only one I'd consider really trying, giving an honest try, because I do enjoy nonfiction about World War II, so this could possibly be up my alley, but like, come on, like I don't need this on my shelves. Am I realistically gonna read it anytime soon? Probably not. Next question is a series you have no interest in reading or a series you have DNF'd. I am planning on doing a video very soon about all the series that I will not be continuing, so I will not answer that portion of the question, but I'll talk about series that I actually have like no interest in. From Blood and Ash by Jennifer L. Armentrout. It's like a fantasy romance. It is super popular everywhere. The more I hear about it, the less I want to read it. I can't tell you why. I don't even think it's the romance aspect. I've just heard some iffy things about like the world building and the characters that I'm just not interested in at all. Also, any other Cassandra Clare series, I've honestly just given up on her. Don't care. Will not keep reading. And the final question is, a new release you have no interest in reading. A lot of the new fantasy releases I'm like super interested in, so I couldn't really think of one for that. Obviously, like no new romances that are coming out ever interest me. The new TJR book or the new Casey McQuiston book, like nothing against them, just don't personally care. And then I remember that Stephen King is still coming out with books, and I don't know why, but I have absolutely no interest. I'm still working through his backlist. There's a ton of books I want to get to on his backlist, and I haven't heard anyone talk about the recent ones. So I'm probably not gonna get around to those. Maybe if they get these like glowing reviews, possibly. I remember that The Institute got some pretty good reviews and that was a fairly recent one, but I don't know. I've got so much work to do catching up on his backlog of books, so I'm not really interested in any of his new releases. They don't sound particularly appealing to me, so I'm probably not going to be picking those up. That was it. Super short and sweet. That's it for the anti-TBR tag. If you have read anything that I have mentioned and you really think that either I would like it or that you think I should reconsider, let me know down below why you like those books, or alternatively, if I'm right and you've read some of these and you think that they are hot flaming trash and that I made the right decision, please let me know in the comments. Otherwise, my social media is linked down below. You guys can always come talk to me there, and that is it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!